Welcome, welcome everybody. I am so honored and excited to share with you the creator of a most amazing Facebook group, Donna Heitmanik. I'm going to introduce her briefly and then we're going to get rocking and rolling, hearing her story. And if you were paying attention in the lead up, we are also going to be giving away some prizes for those of you who comment. So share a question, share a success, share an aha, whatever comment. We'll be taking those names. Our team member here at Reading Simplified, Greg in the Philippines, could take names, draw one, and that person's going to win a copy of this book, Dr. Mark Seidenberg's Language at the Speed of Sight. How we read, why so many can't, and what can be done about it. I thought that was apropos because both Donna and myself are in Wisconsin, where Dr. Seidenberg does his work at the University of Wisconsin. And also, we have another prize because of Donna. She's going to be giving us an opportunity to win this sticker, Science of Reading, What I Should Have Learned in College, which is the title of this awesome Facebook group. So I'm going to be telling you about it, but mostly I'm going to let Donna tell you about it. And what's so amazing about this Facebook group is that Donna came up with a title for it and was just inviting a few people and exploded to now it's 70,000 members, if you don't believe me. This was only just like 18 months ago-ish that she started, and see that right there, 71,000. Actually, I'm behind the times because since I made this, it's already gone up another 1,300. And this is just, you know, numbers are not always a big deal, but this is a sign of teachers, parents, leaders, and advocates of literacy who want more information. They want to know what's going on with their teaching or their child's teaching, what it was that they didn't learn in college, which is true of many of us, not all of us, but many of us who are in the teaching profession. We feel this frustration if we discovered this group or something like it, like this book. So it's incredible demand, and I've never seen demand like it for professional development. So that's why I'm so honored to bring in Donna. If you don't know me, I'm Dr. Marnie Ginsberg of Reading Simplified. It's our job to streamline reading instruction and accelerate students' reading achievement. And so now I want to, without further ado, after these announcements, let Donna tell more of her story. First, Donna, I know you've been seeing a whole bunch of names coming in of friends and far and wide. Yes. You've been making a lot of friends far and wide, right? Haven't you this year? But how about you just get us started with a little bit about your background and why you came up with this group and what happened to spur this, and why is it surprising you? As you know, I think maybe you have said more than anyone.
Every day I'm surprised. It's just, I can't take it. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. So Marnie, thank you for having me and having this platform. This has been amazing. This is going to be so much fun. Just a little bit about me. I'm a retired reading specialist / special education teacher. I retired in 2018 and thought I'd have the good life of, traveling and, we learned how to scuba dive and we traveled the first year. And then in August of 2019, I'm active as a IDA legislative chair. And so in that role, I have to do lots of traveling to Madison and doing lots of testifying. And at that point in that year, we had 7 different dyslexia bills being presented, and 3 of them went to a public hearing. And so I remember clearly being at this testifying and saying to the senators that one day I'm going to write a book, and it's going to be The Science of Reading, What I Should Have Learned in College. And I said, because there's a huge disconnect between what we're learning in college and what we're actually practicing in the classroom. And the result is inadequate progress for many, many, many of our kids. So in August 14th, actually, of 2019, I don't even remember what day of the week it was. I was sitting and looking at my personal Facebook page, which I don't do anymore because I don't have time. But I was looking at my own Facebook page, and I'm looking at the corner, and I'm like, oh, there's a thing called groups. Well, I had no idea what a group was. So I clicked it and it said, okay, you can start this group and it's super easy to do, which I did. And I invited some friends and I named it The Science of Reading What I Should Have Learned in College. And lo and behold, I started getting lots of people coming up. It kept growing and growing. And then by the time I went to the IDA conference in November of that year, I had so many people that were mentioning it and coming up to me and saying, oh my gosh, this is great. And so it just kept growing and growing. Unfortunately, COVID hit, of course, a year ago, but it has really spurred our growth in that we have so many professionals that are not going out at night and not, they have time.
Yeah. A silver lining.
I don't know how they're doing it, sitting in front of computers all day long, and then they sit and working on their in the Facebook group. But I'm glad they're doing it because it's just really helped grow this page and get people out there. So, yeah.
Yeah. So
that's what's happening.
What kind of growth have you been getting? You were looking at your analytics, and now it's 71,000.
So interestingly enough, we hit 70,000 last Thursday, sometime during the day. And today is what, Tuesday? Yesterday, we hit 71,000. So, and today it's at what, 71,500? I don't remember.
I don't know.
So, 71,2 or 3. So what's happening is we're getting thousands of people. It was just at per week, and now it seems like it's getting even shorter. I only can speculate what the growth is or why it's happening. And I can tell that what I'm thinking is that last month in January, we had some meetings, and other states, representatives from other states wanted to start their own Facebook page. So Facebook group, not a page, it's a group. And so we held 2 meetings, informational meetings on how to do that. And so some of the states were a little timid to have the actual name being Science of Reading What I Should Have Learned in College. I understand. I totally understand the negative connotation that has. But for me, it was built out of frustration because I was frustrated. This shouldn't be happening in the year 2020, 2021. This should not be happening, especially when you consider the reading panel happened 20 years ago, and brain research has happened even 40 years ago. So why is this continuing? So a little bit of analytics. Between January 26th and February 22nd, we had 59,000 active members. But on a daily basis, it could go from anywhere from 30,000 to 46,000 active members. That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
We have on an average of 60 to 100 posts daily.
60 to
Again,
100?
tremendous. It's really hard to keep up with it. That's why I have 14 moderators that help me, monitor and manage the group. Our top country is the U.S. Obviously, there's 58,000 members from the U.S. And Canada is 5,000. We have 3,100 members from Australia, from New Zealand, India, Philippines, South Africa, on and on and on. About a month and a half ago, on a Sunday morning, I Zoomed with a lady that contacted me about starting her own Facebook page in Brazil.
Ooh.
And so she, their language is Portuguese in Brazil. And so she actually started a Portuguese Facebook page. And yesterday, someone from South Africa said, "Oh, I want to start a page and I don't have the skills." I said, "If I can do it, you can do it." So, I'm really encouraging people around the world to start it because this is a movement that should not stop.
So speaking of that, can you go into your backstory a little bit about how you didn't learn this stuff in college? That was my
Oh,
experience. I had some great teaching in a lot of different domains, but as far specifically as about how to teach kids how to read words, that wasn't something I got. And I know that that's something
no.
that you've said too. And you're hearing that from a lot of teachers in the group.
Yep.
So tell us your story.
So I graduated, don't laugh, in 1976.
Wow.
Got my first job in on a naval base, actually, in North Chicago. And I had done some student teaching there, so naturally, I was employed there the following year. And um, so I walk into my classroom, which was a trailer, and I remember looking around and I'm thinking, how do you teach these kids to read? How do you teach reading? So what does any 22-year-old do? You call your mother. And so I asked her, I said, Mom, how do you teach reading? And she said, and she wasn't an educator. She just said, well, you start with the sounds and you start with the letters. I said, that makes sense. And so I did that for 10 years. And back then basals were really, really the way to go. You just slowed everything down. I always like to say, special education, you slow and louder. That's what we did. And which is, it's just so sad. We just didn't know. We just didn't know. And so 10 years into my career, I took a class from Project Read out of Minnesota. It's a I think Orton Gillingham type based program, which was really career changing for me professionally. I had some tools finally that I never had before. And so I did that. And so let's fast forward to 2011. And I got my last job that I ended my career with as a reading specialist, but I didn't have the certification I needed, so I had to go back to school. So I did an online program at one of the UW schools here in Wisconsin, and nothing changed from 76 till 2011. There was no use of the science of reading. The only thing we learned was the National Reading Panel, but it was very disconnected. There was no connection between really how do you apply those skills that you learn, fluency and phonemic awareness. It was just very, very surface level. And we know more. We know a whole lot more since 2000 about how PA, phonemic awareness, phonological awareness works, and phonics and fluency and what structured language is. There's still a huge disconnect here in Wisconsin, and I could be in any state and say the same thing. It'll be true for any state in the U.S. or other countries. The schools of education have not caught up to infusing this into their instruction, and it's very unfortunate.
And if you guys are just catching wind of this Facebook Live tonight, I'm hosting the creator, developer, the initiator of a surprise success professional development Facebook group called Science of Reading, What I Should Have Learned in College. Greg, if you could put that link again so people can join if they are teachers, parents, just people concerned about literacy, because we should be concerned about literacy. Teachers are trying as much as they can. Many parents are trying. It's not a blame game. It's a situation where we need to recognize we've got a problem, and some of it, not all of it, but some of it can be solved by our methods. And we've been fighting about methods, and some of this needs to change. So that's why this group, one of the reasons this group exists, so that teachers, particularly parents, other advocates, can educate themselves and learn more. So just as a reminder, we're having a prize at the end. We're going to draw a name for Dr. Mark Seidenberg's book, Language at the Speed of Sight, as well as one of Donna's new stickers. So we're going to have two winners. So everybody who comments is going to be in the running for one of these prizes. So make sure you participate. There is the link. And Heather agrees, not a blame game. And Andrea asked this good question. I don't know, should I put you in the hot seat? Why are schools of education so behind? Dr. Mark Seidenberg addresses this in his book near the end. I highly recommend that. I can also tackle it, but if you wanted to, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
In my opinion, I think what happens in schools of education is Marnie, you would know this better than I, but I think what happens is you get into a groove of you're taught by someone or you follow someone in your instructional course, and then you will learn what they are teaching you, and if that's all they know, that's all you're going to know.
Right.
And so it perpetuates itself, and we are the schools of education and the schools of psychology and cognitive sciences. I think they work in silos, and so there's very little crossover as to what the research is saying to each other, and so it's unfortunate, but I think that's what's happening. I don't know what else. Marnie, what's your
No, that's
take
good.
on that?
I totally agree. It comes back to what we were, what a person reads that transforms their thinking, and it's hard to veer from that. A lot of these these philosophies are deeply rooted beliefs, as opposed to what
Exactly.
studying the science. And because part of that is because the siloing, as you mentioned, people will have plenty to read in a reading education field, and many of the things there are good, but a lot of the things that are about how kids learn to read are misinformed. And whereas the cognitive science folks, the psychologists, special education, special speech and hearing, brain, neuroscientists, they're more likely to be reading a different batch of literature. So it just perpetuates. When you learn that, then that's what you perpetuate. And then our publishers are perpetuating that too. The biggest publishers are adopting a few approaches that confuse the teaching of reading, right? So Susan says she's watching and loving the links. And Karen says the research has helped me so much. And Heidi just says she just joined. So your numbers are going up and up.
Yay!
So
that's my mission. That was what it's always been my mission, is to for teacher training, teacher information, and to get that word out for parents and teachers, and also to show the different products that are out there that will help you, guide you into good instruction. So, Marnie's Reading Simplified. As a practitioner, I really enjoy using that program because it's streamlined. It's not the intensity that an Orton Gillingham based program requires, and even though you can be more intense with it depending on the student, so that's why I really like your program, Marnie. It's and I'm not just saying that because I'm on your show. It's just been, I've taken the time to go through the class. I'm not finished with the class yet, but I really I'm just in awe of how you've integrated the PA and the streamlining all the different variations of the vowels. It just makes so much sense to me as a practitioner. So
cool. Well, we're glad of that, and we can't wait to see what you find out with your most recent student. And speaking of that, and how you're bringing in PD, should we talk about the different things you've already done? So this isn't just a Facebook group where people give everybody thumbs up and make book recommendations, although there is that. It's right. What else is going on?
So just by way of background, I'm thinking it was May, maybe it was April. I think it was April of last year. Okay, we're in the midst of COVID, brand new COVID. And one of my members from Indiana, Melissa, she said, hey, she says, Dr. Kilpatrick's book, Equipped for Reading Success, I have 800 people who want to do this. Do you want to do this? And I'm like, oh, it's so much work. I'm retired. So I said, sure, okay, let's do this. Well, little did I know, I actually need to write to her and tell her that it really spurred a whole different purpose for the group, because now this is the mission, is to give teachers training. So we started off with the Equipped for Reading Success book study. It was 8 weeks. What was so cool about it, I literally was making it up as I went along. I would invite people like 2 weeks ahead. Hey, can you be, so Marnie you were one of our guest speakers. Maria Murray was one of our guest speakers. Holly Lane, Professor Lane, Stephanie Stahl. We had all these great names in the field. And who kicked us off but David Kilpatrick himself. So, and that was free. That was a free workshop, a book study. And then in the summer of 2020, we did the Reading Teacher's Top 10 Tools, and that was a 10-week book study. We had over 200 members do that. It was wonderful. For our 1-year anniversary, Dr. Scarborough, God bless her, agreed to be our speaker, a Q&A, even though she's retired, and she made it clear that she does no public speaking anymore. She did this for us. So that was a really cool event. In the fall of 2020, we did a 10-week book study with Dr. Smart and Dr. Haugen. That book, Fundamentals of Literacy, Instruction, and Assessment, if you're new to the science of reading, it is a textbook that is designed for, I would say, either master's level or some undergrad programs, but it really provides you with a wonderful overview of the science and how to implement that. Some of the others we had are Morphine Magic. Catherine Grace was a big one. Silver Moon Spelling is coming up. So, as you can see, we have lots and lots of trainings coming up. And that's what happened with this whole thing, is that I decided, okay, if that is my role, if that is our role to provide training, let's do it in a very inexpensive, accessible way. Mm-hmm. And so you'll notice that lots of the trainings are either free or $5 or $10 or $15, depending on the length of the training. And then what we do is we're taking that money that we earn. I just acquired a nonprofit status, and so we're putting that money into a teacher's training fund. And so down the road, let's say we offer some trainings and it's cost prohibitive for some people, we will offer partial scholarships. So that's coming. Mm-hmm. We're also going to start our I'm so excited about this. My husband said, he goes, no one's going to buy this, Donna.
They will.
So these are our stickers.
Somebody's getting one for free. If you participate.
For our scholarship fund that we're starting, and that'll be rolling out on Saturday. So if you're interested in getting one of those, the information will be coming. But it's been really exciting. Oh, another one that's really happening that's super exciting. I have two. One I don't want to share out yet, but Sharon Walpole, who was doing differentiated instruction, is going to be doing a 5-part series in April and May. So that's coming. Registration's coming for that.
Awesome. Greg, can you put the link in for the Facebook group again? People are coming in and they're asking how to join. They are joining, and we got some requests for more book studies, just to let you know. That's the work that you've got to do, but you've got your 14 moderators and other people that you're pulling from, so hopefully it won't it won't wipe you out. But those book studies are popular and they've done well. And Jennifer is already planning on buying one of those stickers. So.
Oh, that's sweet. I love that.
And Bridget's looking forward to the new trainings. So, yeah, you said 60 to 100. Go ahead. Go ahead. I was just saying,
what
60
I was
to 100.
is if you want to register for any of the current trainings that are on, you need to go to www.scienceofreadinginfo.com and go to the events tab. That's where all of those are housed, and you can register for any one of those trainings. There's 4 current trainings up there now.
Mm-hmm. All right. People are, there's Diane's pointing out this book is one of Dr. Walpole's books. It's very good. How to Plan Differentiated Reading Instruction. And she says it's excellent. Okay, so you've been telling us about the big picture. You're telling us about professional learning that has happened and will continue to happen for the people. free? And what's your most expensive item? What, like $15?
Right now it's 15.
Not breaking the bank,
No,
folks.
it's not
Even
breaking
on
the
a
bank.
teacher's salary, we can afford that. So there's a lot of value there. Plus the community to encourage one another. You can just learn from those. Like I said, she mentioned 60 to 100 posts a day. So there's plenty of things there to learn from and to get inspiration from. But what about more like the individual level? Do you have a story of someone that has already been transformed? We had some comments already, people saying, this group changed my life and changed my teaching, but I know you've been seeing
Oh,
that. It's more than your brain can probably register, right?
I cannot tell you. I mean, probably a day does not go by where I don't get a thank you. I mean, it's happens every day. On Sunday, just past Sunday, one of the members wrote to me and she said, "I don't know if you're a spiritual person," she says, "but your site has changed me as a teacher, and I pray for you every day."
Oh,
And
I got to
that
find the right
really,
sound for that.
it really resonated with me.
Yeah.
And I said they must be working because it takes a lot of energy and a lot of commitment to do this. But the mission is there. I just don't want to stop. It just keeps happening, and it's really on a roll, and it's pretty exciting. I've touched the lives of parents and teachers in, not me, but we have, because
Right.
that's the other thing of our group is that I can't understand how a social learning Facebook group can be so informative instructionally, and people. It's not my learning style, but there are people that go through our group, and because we're a social learning group, you go to they're called guides and they're called files, and everything is archived. Some of the good stuff is archived. So you can go and look and see what's there that's been saved all these years, or 18 months that we've been doing this. All these years. It sure seems like years. But the thing that means so much to me is when I hear from teachers, especially the teachers, that it's changed the way I teach, it's changed the way I look at kids, it's changed my instruction. That's priceless. And then you get parents, and that was one of the questions I had. Do I invite parents to this group initially? And I thought, well, why not? We have parents that are struggling. They need to know the answers. If we as teachers and parents can work together, because, let's face it, when a post is answered, the answer is just not appropriate for a teacher. A parent will get information out of it. Somehow will glean some sort of information out of it. So we all need to work together as a team. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, related to that, I think this is a good time to talk about the sensitivity of this challenge. You pointed out from the beginning, naming this group what I should have learned in college is a negative stance. And a lot of times we're saying these people are not doing a good job. And then some people are coming in as beginners, and some people are experts, and some people are, most of us are all the way in between, responding. And it is dynamic and tricky. And how are you juggling it? And how are your moderators juggling that? It's like the most important thing you could do to keep the group safe and encouraging. But it's also very hard when there's 60 to 100 posts a day. And these posts, people are not just like one-offs. There are 30, 40, 50 comments on pretty much every post.
True. It's frustrating at times because we do get some pushback on what we say or how we say it. That's why it takes, we need a lot of moderators keeping close watch on what is being said. We've had people that's why I don't encourage the use of emojis or GIFs or GIFs, because you can't interpret that. If someone rolls their eyes or things like that, or makes the emoji, it's like What does that mean? And so we try to discourage that because, again, there's no shame, no blame in our space. And we try to really live that. We have people coming from a whole different background, as we talked about it earlier, that, belief system. And so when they're coming to our page, this is something they've never heard before. And they're questioning their own skill set. They're questioning
Right.
all the kids that they claim that they've damaged, as the years, and it's a time where you really have to reflect on your, the old adage, when you know better, you do better. We really try to live that.
Yes.
Because that's,
you can't teach what you haven't been taught. It's
exactly. And teachers are the kindest people in the world. They do not go into education because they get, May, June, July, and August off. That's not why teachers go into education, because that's not even true anymore. They go in education because they like kids and they're helpers and they're kind people and so they want to do what's best for kids, and it's really hard if you haven't been given the tools that are best for kids.
So people are learning in this group from actual just posts, suggestions of things to go see, videos. There are a lot of videos that are suggested, a lot of articles to read, and then as we alluded to earlier, a lot of different ongoing professional learning opportunities, pretty much every month, at least one, sometimes two, right?
Right.
Including book studies.
For sure.
So there's a lot there. What do you think you see happening in the future? Because this all took you by surprise, but you're really running with it, like Jill.
Marnie, I am making it up as I go along,
and it's working though, honey.
It's just been, I think about that a lot. My husband and I, he's my tech guy. He's my support. He really is, and he supports this mission because does take time away from us as a retired couple. But he's there for me, and he's there for the mission because he really believes in what we're doing. I'm not sure what's going to happen in the future. I'm really thinking. I really like the book study ideas. I like my job as the facilitator for this, in my opinion, of course I'm making this up, is to seek out individuals that have contributed to the change and to present those individuals either in a book study format or a webinar format. Like I said earlier, it's about teacher training and it's about exposure to good science-based, evidence-based curriculum. And so that's what you'll be seeing a lot of on our site, is that I will vet programs that are good, that support the science, and that you can use in your classrooms, because we don't have conventions anymore, and those sort of things. So you almost need a commercial every once in a while of something that's out there, just to get an idea. So that's kind of where I'm at. I don't know. I think on a larger scale, what I've been involved with getting to know other groups. Equity is a big issue right now, and equity is an issue no matter what color you are. And our kids of color are really victims to literacy issues, and so trying to work with some outside groups that really focus on that is, there's been some talk of that. So I don't know. I know that's
exciting, because that is probably the biggest shame of our educational system and maybe our nation. In the U.S. particularly, and I shouldn't say. I mean, Donna and I are both here in the U.S., but it's happening in a lot of English-speaking countries
everywhere.
That our literacy levels are low. But here in the U.S., about 65% of fourth graders are not proficient, and but the rates for Black and Latino and Native children are much worse, about 80%. And if you're a male child of color, it's just unbelievably challenging. And yes, there are social dynamics that are causing that, but there's a lot that we can do with changing our instruction, things that make the code so much more clear.
Exactly.
So I was hoping you could speak to that, because what I should have learned in college, we did learn some good stuff in college. And we use a lot of those practices, and even things that might be considered, that might be what people call balanced literacy. There's still good features there. What are the things that are where the rubber hits the road, or what's, I should say, most important for a beginning teacher, or a teacher beginning their journey on science of reading? What's one of the biggest myths or things that you want to redirect them and have them, do a 180 if they were doing it this way? What would be some of the things, the biggest things that would improve their practice and make it easier for kids to read?
Sure. Well, for early literacy, definitely infusing phonemic awareness, phonological awareness into your training, into your practice, and then making that shift to structured phonics, because I think that's that's the missing piece. The comprehension, vocabulary, and fluency, those are the upper part of the rope. Not the fluency, because fluency is a product. But if you know Scarborough's rope, and you look at both the language and the word development part of the rope, two different parts of the rope, study the rope, because the rope is really your guide as to how to put together a good structured literacy lesson. And structured literacy is, oh, thank you, Myrnie, is all about putting together the two sides of the rope to get fluent and skilled readers at the end. That's what it's about. And if you use this as your guide and as your framework for how you structure your day, I think you'll have a pretty good approach to reading.
I love it. We talk about this a lot here at Reading Simplified. Okay, Greg, I think we should get some winners soon. If you haven't already got them ready, let's get them out. If you didn't catch us from the beginning, we were saying that we were going to give away a book, which is a bigger prize than I normally give out. So in honor of Donna and this group, we're going to be giving away Language at the Speed of Sight by Mark Seidenberg, and then also one of these cool new stickers that this Facebook group has created. Woohoo! So 2 winners. So we're going to have those soon. Donna, is there anything else that we haven't covered that we should discuss that you want people to know?
I just want people to know how grateful I am that if you're a member, that everything you say and do is appreciated on the site, because you're sharing your experiences and your knowledge. We have lots and lots of people that don't know, and they want to know. There are a couple other things one other thing I wanted to share.
Cool.
From our site, we've had other offshoots of our page, one of which is called Training Reading Rocket Scientists. It was started by Dr. Stoller, who has an academy, and what she is doing for higher ed, she gathers all the higher ed instructors into her group, and to try to spread the science of reading, the knowledge there. We have an administrator science of reading group called Science of Reading for Administrators, what my teachers want me to know. I would say there's about 43 states out of the US that have their own Science of Reading site. Whether it says Science of Reading What I Should Have Learned in College, or Science of Reading Kansas, or whatever the state, it'll always have the state name in it somehow. So keep an eye open for those, whatever state you live in. Canada also has, I think there's 2 provinces that have their own Facebook pages. It's really important. I think that, like I said earlier, I think that's why this group is growing at the rate it's growing. And so if you want, check out your state. Hopefully your state has a site, because the state will have a little more specific needs, and every state is different, and every state is a different stage of where their legislation is and their approach to reading. So you want to be more state specific. So that's my final words, I think.
And people are talking about how much they've learned from the group, meeting other people, having these kinds of discussions. Because if your worldview is turning upside down, it is disorienting, and you need support.
Very much.
And that's one of the reasons potentially that this group is so dynamic. People, can read a book, but they want to talk about it, and they can watch a video, but they need to talk about it. They have trouble with their student, and they want to know how to respond. So we've gotten a lot of thanks for this discussion, a lot of praise to you, Donna, giving up retirement or enriching your retirement, shall we say.
I think it's been enriched.
We're about ready to give the winners. I'm communicating with Greg, is our Read Simplified team member, and he's coming up with those names soon. And Diane says, thank you, Donna and Marie. What do you do when people ask, what do I do for pre-K, or what do I do for, I have a middle school student? What do the moderators generally do? Because you're not directing everyone to just one program, but you're also not, you're educating different programs and making sure that there's some strong ones.
We try not to say too much. We try to hold back and see what the other comments are. Because I don't want to always have to just give one answer. I mean, that's not being open. That's not being, inclusive. So we kind of do a step back type of thing.
Okay.
And watch and see what other people say. That's our job, to moderate.
Okay. I like that. I love that. That makes sense. Because frankly, a lot of times people post things on Facebook, and in my community too, I get this, and they might post like one sentence or two sentences, and it's rare that you can really hit the heart of the matter by just understanding that much information. You really got to ask, well, what's the context? How old is the child? What do you mean by da, da, da? There's a lot more nuance that helps you shift your answer. Have you ever read anything in the science of reading? Yeah. So,
right, exactly.
While the thank yous are flying off the hook, why don't you mention again about your sticker and the scholarship program while we're waiting to get our winners? In case people I had this idea a couple months ago. Here's one of them, and this is one of my favorite. My husband doesn't like it, but oh well. Isn't it cute? And it's got the science of reading down here. What I should have learned in college. And so our reason is to raise funds to help teachers get advanced training. So there's various different programs out there that, like I said, Top 10 Tools, Dr. Glazer offered 40 scholarships this year, just in the past 2 weeks. And that was funded by Boone, the Boone Foundation. It's not a foundation, of philanthropy, I think he goes by, Boone Philanthropy. Anyway, he paid for those. And so we're getting people offering us training. We are going to have AIM Institute in Training is going to be offering us some scholarships. And that's coming. That was supposed to roll out in January. It's going to be rolling out at the end of February. Joan Sedita brought some Keys to Literacy training scholarships. It's amazing that all these wonderful, good, solid companies are offering training, and it's all good. It's all good because that's what the mission is. When you know better, you do better. And so people are asking where to start. We'll definitely join the group. Another suggestion, which I concur with, so I'm going to bring it up here, is to start learning by listening to Emily Hanford's podcast. She is an educational journalist from APM Reports and has probably contributed in a profound way that we can't really even track all this excitement about the science of reading, because she tells the story and she does really good journalism, but these are also really rich with references, so you don't have to just trust what she says or the people that she calls on. She's got things that you can check the references and see if this is this true. Go down here and check this reference, and you can
True.
and you can see some really good core studies that gives people like Donna and myself and the confidence to say the science of reading. There is a lot of knowledge that is clear cut about certain things, particularly about how the brain learns to read. And so, yeah. So, did I miss a winner? Did we have a winner yet, Greg? I'm ready for that winner.
And the members are ready too. While we're waiting, I have another tip. David Pelk is
Great.
one of my buds from Michigan, and he started his own Michigan site. He has a Where Do I Start? YouTube.
Ooh, clever.
It's on YouTube. It's Where Do I Start? So you can go there. I also have a scienceofreadinginfo.com beginners tab. So that's my COVID project. My husband and I put together a website, scienceofreadinginfo.com, and on the right there, oh, look at you, there's a beginners tab. And so you can go there and click on that, and you'll see lots of different things to look at that will help beginners out. Also, Pam Kastner has a Wakelet site, and she is the queen of collecting things. So,
Yeah.
Dr. Kastner.
Yeah. So we have a winner finally.
Okay.
So Kelly Lynn is going to snag a copy of this book by Dr. Mark Seidenberg, Language at the Speed of Sight, How We Read, Why So Many Can't, and What Can Be Done About It. If you're a teacher, I highly recommend reading more around the middle to the end, and particularly the last chapter is just really devastating. It explains this kind of, how could we be taught this if this is what the science says? That's just kind of mind-blowing, because we assume that the people that are teaching us are giving us the best. And there is some confusion, partly because of that siloing that we talked about earlier. So Kelly Lynn, make sure you check your Facebook Messenger. Greg from Reading Simplified will reach out to you to get that address so we can mail it to you. I hope you're in North America. If you're not, we'll have to come up with some other workaround, because it's hard to ship things. Well, I guess I could ship it my old snail mail way. And then Greg, if you can come up with another winner for the sticker from the Science of Reading, What I Should Have Learned in College Facebook group, that would be nice. Somebody wants that title. This is what Kelly Lynn's winning. If you look up What Language at the Speed of Sight, you'll find it. The beginning is Sign of Deep. Maybe the wordsmiths among us will really like it. But we've got a congratulations there. And what else am I missing? Thank you, Allie, for posting the link. And Greg is trying to pull up our next winner. Okay, give us a heart or a thumbs up if you're already a member of Donna's group. Let's see them fly, okay? Are you all ready? Are you all ready? Science of Reading, What I Should Have Learned in College. It's a mouthful, to be honest, but it's very powerful. It obviously works. Okay.
If I could have do it over, I would.
No, I don't know. It worked. So Barbara Mays Burns, you are tonight's winner for the stickers. So make sure you give Greg from Reading Simplified will contact you and get your mailing address so Donna can get that sticker out to you. And then the rest of you have your chance coming this Saturday, right?
Right.
So if you're in the Facebook group, we're seeing all the hearts and the thumbs up. Okay, we got a lot of members. That's awesome. And Barbara is thrilled. So, and Diane, here's a good testimonial. Just joined last week and can't believe the wealth of information. Yeah, it is awesome.
It's so true.
So
true.
Okay, you guys, thank you for being here. If you are new to Reading Simplified, we go live most Tuesday nights. Now we're going first and third of the month, unless we have a special guest. So here at 8 p.m. Eastern with trainings and complimentary trainings and free materials. So if you're a teacher or a parent
Right.
concerned about a faster way to teach kids how to read, you're welcome to check our website out. But I hope to be seeing all of you very soon, if I haven't already, in that Facebook group. I know it's going to be busier than usual. I have to give our apologies to the moderators, but it's all good, right?
Thank you, Marnie. It was a pleasure. I really enjoyed this.
I'm so
Thanks for the
glad.
opportunity to share my story and our story and
Yeah.
all the good stuff that we're doing.
Well, more and more people need to hear it, so it's my privilege. Thank you so much for being willing, and thanks so much for this heroic effort of this group. Keep it going.
You're so welcome. Thank you.
Good night,
Take
everybody.
care. Good night.
Would you like future complimentary trainings like this here at Reading Simplified? Then make sure you ring the bell here at YouTube to become a subscriber so that you learn more of our ways of streamlining instruction and accelerating students' reading achievement. And you can also find us on Facebook at Reading Simplified, usually on Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We go live with other complimentary trainings, and we give away some freebies for teachers and parents. So I hope to see you here again next time on YouTube or even on Facebook. Take care.